Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. 500 years ago, Machiavelli wrote those words, and they point to a timeless and pretty dangerous truth about human nature.
Welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful paradox. The idea that your intelligence, the very thing you probably think is your greatest asset, might actually be your biggest weakness.
It really boils down to this. The most catastrophic mistake you can make isn't being unintelligent. It's the desperate, almost needy desire to perform your intelligence for other people. The moment you start acting smart, you make yourself a target. You become prey. Think about what happens. You correct someone or share some superior knowledge because, you think you're gaining respect, maybe creating some influence, but in reality, you're painting a target on your back. You're creating an enemy. Why? Because you've threatened them. And threatened people always try to eliminate the threat.
And believe me, this isn't some new age social media thing. This is a deadly pattern that's woven all the way through history, where some of the greatest minds were taken out not for their failures, but for their brilliance. I mean, just look at this list. Seneca, Thomas More, Thomas Cromwell. These guys weren't mediocre. They were the brilliant advisors to the most powerful rulers of their time, and every single one of them was eliminated by the very person they served. It's not a coincidence. So what exactly were their crimes? Was it incompetence? No, not at all. Seneca's crime was simply being too wise for a paranoid emperor like Nero. Thomas More's was his integrity. Cromwell's was that he was just too good at his job. Their intelligence, once it was on full display, became a direct threat to power. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Their greatest asset, their mind, became the very weapon that was turned against them. Their need to be seen as intelligent, as principled, led directly to their own downfall. Okay, so if showing off how smart you are is a trap, what's the alternative? Well, the solution lies in a different kind of power, a strategic kind of concealment that Machiavelli himself was a huge advocate for. And this is where Machiavelli gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy of the fox and the lion. See, the lion is all brute force, but he's clumsy. He can't see traps. The fox, on the other hand, is cunning. He can spot a trap a mile away. True power requires you to be both. But here's the key. The fox never announces its cleverness. It just uses it. And this is where the real tactical advantage is, right? When people underestimate you, they drop their guard. They come into conversations totally unprepared. They reveal their real plans, their weaknesses, even their secrets, because they don't see you as a threat. It gives you the freedom to operate in the background without 1,000 eyes scrutinizing your every move. Let's just pause on that for a second. Think about your own life. Can you remember a time when someone misjudged you, when they underestimated your abilities, and it actually gave you an edge? I'd love to hear about it. Share your story down in the comments. It's always fascinating to see how this stuff plays out in the real world. All right, so let's bring this down to earth. It's so important to understand the difference between the kind of intelligence that gets you into trouble and the quiet competence that actually brings you power. One of them shouts, and the other one whispers. On one hand, you have performed intelligence. This is all about needing an audience, right? It's looking for validation. It's rigid, it's loud, and it gets super defensive. Genuine intelligence, though, that's different. It's happier in solitude. It's more interested in asking questions and growing. It's adaptable because it's not scared to admit when it's wrong. Bertrand Russell absolutely nailed this. It ties directly into what we now call the Dunning-Kruger effect, where, weirdly enough, the most incompetent people are often the most confident. So when you're constantly performing your intelligence, you're not signaling brilliance. A lot of the time, you're signaling mediocrity. Real intelligence knows its own limits.
So, how do you actually use this? How do you respond when someone challenges you or questions you? The answer isn't some witty comeback. It's the strategic, disciplined use of silence.
This next part is absolutely critical to understand. When you rush to defend yourself, what you're really seeking is clarity. You want to be understood, but that's an emotional reaction. The strategic goal is never clarity, it's control. The second you start defending yourself, you're basically admitting the other person has the authority to judge you. It weakens your position. Silence, however, silence forces them to question themselves. That's where you expand your power. So think of it like a simple toolkit you can use. Tool number 1, your default, your go-to, is silence. Just let the accusation hang there and die. The second is deflection. You reframe the entire conversation. And the third is what I'd call a precision cut, a short, sharp truth that just ends the game on your terms. Let's look at how this plays out. Someone says, "You think you know everything." Instead of arguing, you deflect with something like, "Confidence upsets the insecure." See? It's not about you anymore, it's about their insecurity. Or if they say, "You're full of yourself," a precision cut like, "I don't know you, humility," just shuts it down completely. These aren't defenses, they are assertions of power. And so, all of this brings us right back to where we started, to that central paradox. The more you feel that desperate need to appear smart, the less truly intelligent your actions are. Real intelligence doesn't need to put on a show, it just operates. And I'll leave you with this one final thought, which really just sums up this entire idea perfectly. Success doesn't come from proving how smart you are. It comes from having the wisdom to know when to conceal it. This has been an explainer from Mindscope Philosophy. If this gave you something to think about, go ahead and subscribe for more deep dives into the timeless ideas that really shape our world. Thanks so much for joining us.